What's up, guys? It is a rainy Thursday in New Jersey, and it's time for the weekly drive. All right, so figured between sessions, it's what, 10 o'clock? There's still time for a caffeine fix without it screwing up my sleep. So I'm on a hunt for that ZOA, ZOA. If you guys are familiar with The Rock and his all the stuff he puts out, like he added energy drinks to the list. So now, being a huge Rock fan, I got to go try it. So hopefully, I saw they sell them at GNC and Vitamin Shops. So we'll see if Vitamin Shops got the hookup. If not, no biggie. We'll see if we can find a different energy drink for another review. Okay, now before we dive into the topic this week, just a little update. Okay, we got some things coming. One big project this week that I'm going to try and keep going for the foreseeable future. Okay, if you guys follow on Instagram, coach underscore FITZZ. Okay, I usually put up a little bit more of the longer form stuff as opposed to the TikToks. Okay, TikTok's the exact same thing, coach underscore FITZZ. Okay, I put out the short stuff on the TikToks, and then the Instagram's a little bit longer, and then what you're listening to is the really long stuff. But anyway, on Instagram, I'm going to start putting out a weekly workout. Okay, these are geared towards those people. Like, if you're one of those people that has very, very limited time to get stuff done, these are 20, 30-minute workouts that you can do while you meal prep, while you're doing laundry, while your kids are doing a homework assignment. This is very quick hit, get a lot done in a little bit of time. Okay, I'm gonna be putting those out, okay, on Fridays. Fridays we're gonna do the weekly workout, and if you're on my email list and you want to do it while cooking that recipe, okay, I'm gonna try and make the timeline work for whatever recipe goes out that week. So those recipes are gonna be a lot of slow cooker and a lot of oven recipes. So that way you can just set it and forget it and get your workout in while it's cooking. Okay, so a little 2 for 1 there. Okay, you could get two things done in 30 minutes and you got the rest of your day. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoy that. Be sure to check it out this Friday. Okay, again, the Instagram to look for, it's coach underscore FITZZ. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, on to the topic for this week. Okay, back to TikTok. Okay, I brought it up before. Been having a lot of good discussions in the comments on the TikToks. Okay, a lot of good questions from people on there, which is surprising because social media is usually very negative. But I gotta say, the TikTok crowd, I'm loving it. Like they're awesome. Instagram too. I just think I'm very fortunate to have really, really good followers. Okay, very good discussions, very productive. So this can't talk yet. This is why I need the caffeine. This topic came up yesterday about ab exercises. Yeah, I put out a decent amount of core exercises, and someone on there said, like, oh, I don't want to get my core too bulky, so I'm just going to skip out on these, which I completely understand. Okay, logic says you work a muscle, it's going to grow. But a couple things to think about here. Okay, when we're talking ab exercises, if we're talking about bulkiness, okay, a lot of like bulk and a lot of that muscle that we want to build in other areas, when it comes to the abs, it's a little bit different. It's just the abs kind of have their own set of rules. Yes, they are muscles. Yes, they operate in similar ways, but when it comes to abs, okay, when it's stuff that I put out like dead bugs, planks, this one specifically was a TRX fallout. Okay, those are movements where you're fighting not to move your spine. You're keeping yourself locked in while your arms or legs are moving. And that's what we call an isometric contraction, basically just holding a muscle in place, not flexing, not extending, none of that, and you just squeeze like hell. Now, when you do that, okay, it's my personal belief, and I'm going to double check just to clarify. If I'm wrong here, I promise I'll put it in the show notes. But the rate of hypertrophy, like how you grow a muscle, is not quite as great. It's not, you don't gain as much muscle doing isometric contractions as opposed to multiple reps, like doing crunches or doing side bends. Okay, and that's the stuff that people claim to get bulky on. Okay, they claim to get bulky from doing tons of sit-ups or tons of side bends because, for one, when you do that, that works the outermost muscles of the core. Okay, the core's got a lot of layers. It's like an ogre. It's got layers. God, that was terrible. Bad accent. I apologize. Okay, they've got layers. So the outermost, like the blocky ones, the rectus abdominis, those are the ones that when we crunch, those are the ones that are getting worked. Okay, and when you add weight to that, like if you hold a dumbbell while you're crunching, that gives it more of a stimulus to grow, and boom, there's your bulk. Okay, same thing with the side bends. That works the obliques. You're extending, or when you're crunching, you're flexing the obliques, and then when you're extending and standing up straight, that's extending the obliques, and you're getting a lot of reps there, and you add weight by holding heavier weight in your hands as you go. Okay, that's the outermost part. Okay, the obliques are what give you that blocky look, the part, the kind that people don't really like. Okay, when you see CrossFitters, okay, they're in amazing shape. Don't get me wrong, I am not talking shit on how they look, but that blockiness, like where you see some of the ladies, how, and the guys too, they have almost like a keg look. I mean, not that they're fat or anything, but it's like there's no shape, not that V taper that you see a lot of bodybuilders or people like that have. And it's funny because this comment actually came from a bodybuilder, which a lot of times when you're in the bodybuilding community, people don't necessarily talk down on ab exercises, but they're not very emphasized, and for this reason. You don't want to get very bulky or blocky or anything, and that is understandable when you're in a competitive setting. Okay, when you're a bodybuilder, you want a tight waist, and you don't want to work those muscles, and you don't want them to grow. But that could lead to dysfunction. Okay, when we're talking about layers of the abs, like the layers underneath, one of the muscles to focus on is the TVA, the transverse, or TVA, TA, transverse abdominis. Okay, that's the layer underneath the rectus abdominis. So you got your blocks, and then right behind them there's this layer that's the transverse. Okay, this is the part that's like the quote unquote functional part of the abs. That's what's going to keep people out of pain. I almost had to honk at these people. I'm in a hurry here. Okay, the transverse, when you get that really strong, that's the part that's going to support you when you lift heavy. It's going to keep you feeling really good through daily activity. Like, that's the stuff we want to focus on. So I have no idea where I was going with that topic, but just a little ab anatomy for you guys. Okay, that's where the whole blockiness theory comes from. Okay, but back to the whole argument about getting blocky. Okay, it's hard to build muscle, and it's even harder because this specific comment happened to come from a female. It's even harder for females to grow muscle because of the low concentration of testosterone in their bodies. And then you got to factor in that a lot of people that are working towards better looking abs are usually dieting at the same time, and it's even harder to build muscle when you're in a caloric deficit. Okay, for those of you that don't know, a caloric deficit is basically you're eating to the point where you're losing weight. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Paired with activity level and all this other stuff, basically you are losing weight, which means you are in a caloric deficit. So you pretty much have everything working. If you're a female who is in a caloric deficit and you're worried about getting bulky, and not just ab exercises, but any exercise, your chances of getting truly bulky are very low. Okay, usually, especially with the ladies, when you work out hard and you strength train and you get stronger, that usually produces a leaner, really good look. Okay, there's a very common misconception that if you lift heavier you get bulkier, when actually sometimes the reverse is true. Okay, when you do a lot of sets and a lot of reps, that's a lot of work, which causes a lot of adaptation in the muscle, which makes it grow. If you're doing sets of 1, 2, 3 reps at super high weight, yes, that's a lot of weight, but that's not going to necessarily work the muscle to the point of where it's going to grow to its max potential. Okay, and not only that, when you lift heavy, that's going to add on that bone mineral density that we talked about a lot last week. Okay, that's going to have your bones super freaking strong so that not only are you feeling amazing now, you're going to still feel amazing for years to come. Okay, as you get older, you're going to have all that strong bone and you're going to be a total badass superhero later in life. Okay, so a lot of reasons to strength train and not worry about bulk, because bulk is usually not the problem. The problem is what's going into your mouth. Okay, when people can't get abs or they don't look a certain way, it's usually not the training aspect that's the problem, it's the food aspect. Okay, abs are made in the kitchen. It couldn't be truer. We all have abs. Even if you haven't done a crunch in your life, if you got shredded, and you see this a lot with like teenage kids, like there's always those boys or girls that are like, they can't put any weight on whatsoever and they still have abs. Okay, yes, they might be active or whatever, but we all have some sort of shape, some sort of abs under the surface. It's all a matter of how lean you can get to show them off, and then depending on how long you want to keep them, man, it's hard to back up and podcast at the same time. And then it all comes down to keeping that body weight, body fat low enough to keep them for life. That's pretty much it. But abs for life is not really a good goal, because then you're just never going to eat enough. Okay, need a little pudge to perform, but personal opinion. Yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much what today's or this week's topic is about. It's like, if you are worried about bulk, if you want to get abs, focus on what's going on your fork and in your mouth, not so much about what you're doing in the gym. When it comes to the gym, do exercises that improve your performance, that improve your health, okay, and have you feeling and looking good all at the same time. Okay, and certain exercises like the ones I put up there, a lot of the isometric ones where you're holding everything tight, that's going to kill two birds with one stone. You're going to feel really good during lifting. You're going to perform really well. You're going to look really good if the food matches. So, hope I covered everything. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. Just email me at coachfitz1@gmail.com. Okay, be sure to check out the Instagram weekly workout on Friday, and I'll see you guys next week.